Hey, Successors, before we get into the show today, I'd like to tell you about my new book, Indulge Your Affirmative Motivation Within, 25 Motivations of Personal Development and Life Success. If you're struggling to stay motivated or just need a little boost, check out the ways that I've stayed motivated over the last few years. Go ahead and go over to Amazon.com and grab yourself a copy. That's Indulge Your Affirmative Motivation Within, 25 Motivations of Personal Development and Life Success. Get it now. On with the show.
Success. Media. Network.
This is your show.
Good day, Successors. I'm Antonio Holman, and welcome to the 4 Principles of Success, number 73, where I chat with successful people and entrepreneurs about how they enhance their businesses and lives in the areas of knowledge, health, wealth, and spirituality. And if you want to learn how I've stayed motivated throughout the years, check out my new book, Indulge Your Affirmative Motivation Within, 25 Motivations of Personal Development and Life Success, now on Amazon. Today we're talking to Maxwell Ivey. Maxwell, also known as the Blind Blogger, is located in Houston, Texas, and is the son of carnival owners who is now an amusement park broker, author of the truly inspiring books, Leading You Out of the Darkness into the Light, It's Not the Cookie, It's the Bag, and the Blind Blogger's NYC Adventures. After the loss of over 250 pounds, Maxwell has adopted a healthy lifestyle of fitness, proper diet, prayer, meditation, and positivity, which has helped create his firm belief that you cannot achieve your goals and dreams without first getting physically, mentally, and emotionally healthy. Maxwell, are you ready to help our listeners prepare for success?
Yeah, I am. I'm looking forward to this conversation. Thanks, Antonio. And I just think it's interesting. Me and you were talking about audio editing and mistakes that we make in these podcast interviews before we went live. And sure enough, what is it, like 2 or 3 times there you had a little hiccup, and I'm like, man, he's giving me this great introduction, and I just know that Antonio's thinking in his back of his head, I got to edit this thing. And I bring this up because to me, everything that happens in life is an opportunity to share. They can all be teaching moments if you wanted to be. And I think one of the best things we can teach people is not to hide our mistakes, because they're usually the things that teach us the most important lessons. They're usually the things we remember the longest, that we generally don't make those same mistakes twice, as the old expression goes. And I find that a lot of times those mistakes that I've made turn out to be some of my most impactful pieces of content. For example, when I've finally accepted my role as the Blind Blogger, a guy who inspires others, I wrote a post called, I Think I'm Ready to Inspire. And it was the first post on the new blog at theblindblogger.net. I uploaded a photo, wrote the post, and I was through. I thought, man, this is great. I'm finally moving forward on this new track. And people wrote and they said, hey, Max, great post. I love the fact that you included the train image. That was a great metaphor. And it turns out I was working on 2 different projects at the same time. I was posting a new ride to my Midway amusement equipment site, and I was posting the new post to the new blog. And somehow I got the picture of me sitting at my laptop switched with the picture of the train that I was trying to sell people. But the thing is, everybody was like, man, that was a great metaphor. Did you? And of course, me being the honest, transparent guy I am, I had to admit to people, no, I didn't do that on purpose, but it works. And I'm not going to take it down, because there's 2 messages in there now because of the fact that it's a mistake. But it's a mistake that works. It's one of those happy accidents. It's one of those divine blessings that comes along, and you're like, hey, I didn't do it on purpose, but man, that was good.
One of those moments. Aside from your busy business world, tell us a little bit about your personal life.
Well, let's see. I am totally blind. I grew up in a family of carnival owners. I started losing my vision to retinitis pigmentosa at age 4. I had a big drop-off in vision to where I had to start using a white cane and start learning to read Braille and listening to books on tape when I was about 12 or 13. My vision stayed constant until I was in college, and then it dropped down to what I have now, which is light perception. I was lucky enough to help my family business for about 10 or 11 years till my dad's death forced the closure of our carnival. And that led me to needing to find something else to do. And at that time, the only thing I thought I knew how to do was to help people sell amusement equipment because I'd had to do it for the family. So that's what I started out. Unfortunately, I did not realize how much stuff I didn't know and how much I would have to learn in order to become an online business owner. And I tell you, even now, it's a continuing everyday thing where you're learning new things or new techniques, or when you think you got it all figured out, they all decide to change everything, especially online. So that's, as for my health, I was morbidly obese. At one point, a doctor told me that I needed to get with a physician and start addressing my health or I wouldn't be around much longer. So I finally did go home and get with a good doctor. The first thing the doctor did was say that I think you have sleep apnea and I think it's a pretty bad case. And she convinced me to finally have a sleep study, something I had been fighting for years. People used to complain about my snoring, but I would never admit that there was a problem and check into it. So I had the sleep study, and the ear, nose, and throat doctor who reviewed it with me said, you not only have this, but you've probably had it since you were a teenager, and it's pretty bad. So they put me on a CPAP machine, which is the most common treatment for sleep apnea. And the funny thing happened. I did not realize just how bad my rest was until I started getting good sleep at night. And when you're not getting good sleep, you are not at your best. I started realizing that, I was short of energy, short of breath, lacked passion. And a lot of that was just attributed to not getting good sleep. And I tell you, when they start telling you the side effects of long-term apnea, you're like, man, this actually could have killed me. And most people don't realize it's that serious. But beyond that, you have increased risk of heart attack, stroke, impotence, lack of interest. You just are not the same person. And a lot of people who are running businesses, starting businesses, they swap sleep for their business. And I'm telling you, that's really a bad recipe because, you're just not at your best. A couple years after that, my doctor said, Max, you still need to work on your weight. You're not making any progress. I know you're against it, but would you at least go to a seminar and listen to what they have to say about gastric surgery? So I went to the seminar. The doctor explained that it was not easy, it was not a quick fix, and also it was not quitting because you're going to have to do a lot of work and make a lot of changes in your life if you want the surgery to be successful. I had what they called a duodenal switch, and what a lot of people don't realize about gastric surgery is you have to lose weight just before you can have the surgery. And then only 50% of the people who have these surgeries lose the 80 to 90% of the weight they need to lose and keep it off. So it's not the end of the road. It's not the only thing. It's one tool. It's part of an overall plan that you have to commit to, and it's pretty much who you have to become for the rest of your life if you're going to be successful with it. But then that shouldn't be any surprise because that's pretty much what doctors have been telling us forever.
Now, you actually continued in the family business. A lot of young people, they don't typically want to follow what their parents did, but you did. What was it about the carnival business that made you stick with it?
I think it was because from the very beginning, when my dad first started his carnival, because my family at one time had three uncles plus my dad at one time. So there's 4 different carnivals in our family in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And when my dad first started his thing, he started with 3 kiddie rides, one of those big old clown head moonwalks, a metal pony cart ride, and a ladybug ride. And I just enjoyed being around him. I liked the idea of getting up and going wherever it was he was going. And, I did not mind the hours, the sweat, the lifting heavy pieces of metal so that we could put these rides together and take them apart. My brothers, neither one of them ever really cared as much about it as I did. And, later on, I would realize that there were other things I could do that were more helpful besides helping them set the rides up and take them down, such as, helping with the bookings, operating games. And one of the important things I did was just being with other people when they would be making trips and being that that other person along with them so that they weren't out there totally by themselves. I think a lot of it just has to do with the fact it was what my dad was doing.
Even though you're blind, in order to get it where your business is today, you learned a lot of things. Let's see. I'm going to run down a list here. You learned how to code HTML, start a blog, record videos, use social media, build email lists, recruit clients, write ad copy, newsletters, and more. How difficult was this for you? And what was the driving motivation behind it that made you keep going to do all these things?
Right. Well, the first thing to remember is I didn't do all of them at the same time, and I didn't do all of them even in the beginning. It started with just trying to figure out how to get online, because when I finally decided that the carnival business was behind me, that I was no longer going to be part of a traveling business, that my future was to help people sell their rides, I had never had a website, didn't know how to have a website, and wasn't sure exactly how this was all going to work. So I went online. I started visiting, searching for sites of people who create websites, and I eventually was forwarded to a place called w3c.org, which is a tutorial site for people who want to learn how to build their own websites. And I went through those things one tutorial at a time, and I eventually got to where I could, do the basics like create pages, links, your email link, your photos, and lists and things like that. And that was the first part. And after that, it was okay. Now that I have a place to put these people, I have to go out and figure out how to find them. And in the beginning, that meant calling or emailing people who knew me or used to know my dad. One of the problems I had as far as recruiting clients went was my site was a commission-based site. It still is. And there were other sites who had been at it longer that had advertising or had a different way of generating income, so they didn't need to charge people on the sales. And here I was, a new guy coming along and telling people, hey, it's not going to be free. You're going to have to pay me when you sell something. And many of them just weren't interested in that. And you talk about the email list. The email list started because people weren't opening my emails or returning my phone calls. And I decided, well, what can I do where I can start generating some interest? And I thought, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I know that most everybody online needs traffic, so I'll offer to help them with their traffic. And what I did was I started creating free text links for any business in the amusement industry, and I would send them the proposed link, and I would tell them, hey, I'll put this link up on my site. It won't cost you anything. All you have to do is agree to get my emails once a week about new equipment to the site or whatever's going on with me and the Midway Marketplace. And that worked really, really well. I was surprised how good the reaction was, considering how little I was giving them in return for access to their inbox. And, that I think now there's like 3,500 emails on the list, and it's been a few months or more since I've really pushed adding to that mailing list. Social media, it was originally just Facebook. And then after I was on Facebook a while, then I went to LinkedIn, and after LinkedIn, Twitter. And I still don't claim to master any of those sites, but I use them as well as I can use them. And I find that the longer I go, the bigger the networks are getting, and the more effective they seem to be, whether I'm promoting the Midway or promoting myself as the blind blogger. Recording videos, that happened because I sold a ride, basically because the owner sent me a video of it. And I'm like, man, videos are really powerful. Because I sold this carousel in less than 60 days, and it had been on other people's sites for over a year. And it was all because I encouraged the owner to take a video of the ride in operation and send me the video so people could see it and not have to, go buy pictures and decide whether or not they wanted to get on a plane or get in their car and go look at it in person. So I was like, I got to start doing videos. And, I tried with a camera, but that didn't work out. So then I decided just to use the camera on my laptop and the basic QuickTime recorder. And I press record, I talk, or I play video, and then I press stop. So I think that's another thing that a lot of people get distracted by is you don't always have to do it exactly the way everybody else is doing it. You don't always have to use all the bells and whistles. If doing it in a very simple way will get you online, will get you moving towards your goal, then that's what you have to do. And in my case, my first video, I didn't have an intro. Well, I still don't do intros because people say they like my singing too well. But my first video, I said, okay, Max, I'll record myself singing, then I'll talk, and then I'll sing some more. And people liked it. And, now I've had people last year. I gave a public talk in Philadelphia, and when it was over with, after the event was over with, I asked people if I could sing. They said, sure. And as soon as I finished singing, they're all like, Max, from now on, when you give a talk, you got to sing too. So, but that was, I could have said, I don't have an intro. I don't have an outro. I don't know, the way to edit the audio or the video from this recording. I could have come up with excuses. But instead I said, let's just go ahead and do it as well as we can do it now with the tools we have now, with what we know about those tools, and put it out there. And one of my favorite topics for a talk is just press send or just press publish. Don't let your fears keep you from your dreams, because way too many people are waiting for it to be perfect. And as you know about me, because you've obviously, you've been on my site, you looked at some of my stuff I've sent you, I'm not a perfectionist by any stretch of the imagination.
It all looks pretty good and professional, though. I mean, to be a blind man, to do all of these things is, to me, personally, it's truly incredible. So, I got to commend you on that.
Right. Well, the stuff that looks professional, that's because after I did it, I let somebody else make it look pretty.
Oh, that's good.
My books are all professionally edited after I write them. If a blog post is important to me, that post is edited. If I really need an image, I will send that out to somebody who does images for a living. But for the most part, waiting for my content to be what everybody else thinks it should be is just delaying opportunity for people to learn from and be inspired by it. So all I'm doing is making it harder on everybody else if I hold stuff back because I don't think it's good enough yet.
Mm-hmm. Your first book, Leading You Out of the Darkness into the Light, A Blind Man's Inspirational Guide to Success. What inspired you to write this book, and who was the audience you had in mind?
Yeah, people are not going to like this answer because, you know me, I tell the truth. And the truth is, I didn't plan to write the book. A friend of mine named Eve Koivula, a fellow blogger, was putting on an online summit. She said, Max, I'd like to have you on the summit, but you need something to give away or sell for cheap. She said, so I tell you what, I think you can write a book. She challenged me to write a book, and I always tell people, one of the best things that can happen in your life is to have a really good friend double dog dare you, which is what she did. She said, Max, she challenged me to do it. So I started writing this book. My intent was to share some of my experiences and the lessons that I had learned from them and use it as a free giveaway. That was the intent. But a few weeks later, she gets back to me and says, Max, there's 4 other women in this summit, and they've decided for marketing purposes it would be better if it was an all-girls thing. And I'm like, that's fine, because, I grew up in a carnival. I'm still a promoter at heart, and I know what it means to put butts in the seats and faces behind the screen. So I was fine with that, but I told her I'm going to keep writing the book. A month or two later, I had finished writing it, but still wasn't comfortable putting it out there in the world. And another good friend from California said, Max, I read your book. It's a great book. I know you're worried about it not being long enough, but trust me, it's the perfect size. It fits perfectly in my purse because I've been carrying it around Los Angeles, showing it to people for a week now. And she said, I know who your editor is because you've mentioned her in a couple of your blog posts. So if you don't send it out and get this thing out in the world, I'm going to send it to her for you. And so I sent it to my editor, Lorraine, regularly at wordingwell.com. I always like to get her name in there because I honestly feel like my books, they're still my books, but they're better because of her participation in them, what she's done on them. So in January of 2014, the book came out, and now that I know enough to know that you have to figure out who your audience is. My audience is pretty much anybody that has a big goal or a dream who is stuck, frustrated, scared, and needs some inspiration and motivation to take those first steps. And that was also kind of a surprise to me. It's also where I get into my 4 questions, which is the first time I put those down on paper. And before I really realized how powerful those 4 questions can be is, I tell people, if you can do it, then take action immediately. Don't talk about it or think about it. Just go ahead and do it. If you can't do it, can you learn how? And if you can learn how, then, sign up for the course, call the mentor, go to wherever it is that particular thing you might be able to learn it. If you can't do it or learn it, then can you get somebody else to do it for you? And that can mean hiring somebody, asking for volunteers, roping your friends and family into it, or just putting it out on social media or in your blog that you need help with something, because people will come along and help if you ask. So if you can't do it, learn it, or get somebody else to do it, then just put it off to the side, ignore it, and focus on the things that you can do something about. And that was the message of the first book. And the audience, like I say, is people who are stuck. They know what they want, and a lot of them even know what they need to do to get there. But the beginning is the hard part. And a lot of that has to do with overwhelm, because a lot of them they've sat down and thought about everything that they will need to do to accomplish the goal, and they've let themselves be talked out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you talk about overwhelm, which is leading me to the next question. A lot of times we do feel overwhelmed, and life's full of ups and downs, and we don't know what to do and who can help us. We all got a different journey. Throughout your journey, when was that time you felt most unsuccessful?
Well, let's see. Last year, my book, It's Not the Cookie, It's the Bag, has been out for over a year now, and everybody loves the title. They all love the image on the cover. It's a really good book where I share about what I had to learn and change about my life in order to be successful with the weight loss. But that book hasn't sold. I'm hoping maybe it benefits from the next book, or as people continue to find out who the heck the blind blogger is. Maybe it'll benefit. Maybe it'll eventually catch up with the other 2. The most notable example that I point to usually is when I think it's been 3 years ago now. I think that shows that I've gotten past it, because I can't even remember exactly when it happened anymore. But I listed this carousel for a guy up in Maine. It was a beautiful double-decker carousel, $250,000 ride. I literally sold the ride within 30 minutes of starting to tell people about it. It was in Australia, on location, being enjoyed within 60 days, which is unheard of in the industry, considering the distance, time, and logistics between the Northeast and the U.S. and Australia. Plus, it had to pass a rigorous inspection. I never got paid. The guy still hasn't paid me. He eventually blocked his cell phone number and stopped replying to my emails. But the thing was, so I eventually had to accept, okay, the guy's not going to pay me, but is there some positive I can take from this experience? And what happened was, I got a lot of new traffic to the website. There were several new clients who contacted me wanting me to help them find hard-to-find pieces of equipment. I was featured on Mutual of Omaha's Aha Now Facebook page and got $100 cash in the mail from them. But my site started getting a lot more traffic because of that sale. And I felt good about it. I mean, come on. I sold a $250,000 ride in 30 minutes. That's what I remember from the experience after it was over with, and I could think about it positively. But, sometimes it takes you a minute, an hour, a day, a week. Sometimes it takes a month. Sometimes you have to get somebody else to help you understand that, 1, this is not going to work out the way you wanted it to, and 2, it's not going to kill you, that there are some things you can take from it and move forward. And one of the things I took from it is, now if you want me to sell your ride, first you have to use my submission form on my website, which has one of those check boxes that says you agree to pay me. And 2, you have to sign an actual contract, so that 3, if you don't pay me, I will take your butt to court.
Speaking of that, which is interesting, man, you're leading me into the next question again. What was your most challenging client-related situation, and how did you resolve it?
I don't think I did resolve it, other than I accepted that the outcome was not going to be positive. Sometimes there isn't a resolution. I mean, sometimes you just don't have control over the other person. And you've seen these people. They get into a dispute. They get lawyers, and they fight over something for years. It's never resolved. Even if they win the case, they're still talking about this lawsuit or this person who did them wrong for the rest of their lives. So I think one of the resolutions is just not letting something that, was crushing at the time dominate my life, not let it get you off track. That, to me, is a resolution. It may not be the resolution people expected me to talk about, but it is a resolution. I know you've seen these people, they get divorced and they spend thousands of dollars over $100 painting or over a dog, I can see people fighting over a dog, but that's just me. But you understand they will say it's not the money, it's the principle. And maybe it is the principle. But you let these things rule your life and destroy your joy. And so that to me would be the way I resolve.
What do you feel was one of the hardest things for you to overcome in your business that you've since conquered?
I would say probably the website, because, we talked about HTML and I mentioned the W3C school, but I'm telling you, every day when I would add something new to the site, more often than not, it would break. I'd have to figure out which one of those stupid pieces, which one of those less thans and greater thans and slashes and whatever I'd misplaced in order to get it back again. And the other thing that I used to struggle with was adding images to the website, because I would think I had added them and people would go, Max, you didn't. There's just this big yellow space or this big black space, Max, so you need to try again. And sometimes I'd have to try 3 or 4 times before I'd finally get it right. People would send me images. They'd send me all different sized images. And being blind, I didn't have a way to edit those images. People, when people would send me video, it'd be the same way. I pretty much just had to use whatever they sent me. And for a long time, I had this really, let's call it bright website palette. When you're creating your palette, you're supposed to pick your colors either by names or by their numbers. And I decided not to use the numbers because I figured, how am I going to know what color goes with what number? So I went with names, and I went with yellow for the background, blue for the text, red for the links, and orange for the previously clicked links. And what I didn't know was that yellow was what I would later be told was ice screaming yellow. And the blue was navy, the red was brick, and the orange looked like something out off of the front of a honky-tonk. I've been, so you picture all those different colors plus the black text plus different sized images on the same page together. I've been told the site was so out there that Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder could have had an argument over it. I mean, it was bad. I mean, and I struggled with it because on the one hand, I'm thinking, I really need this site to be better. But on the other hand, I'm thinking, Max, there's really nothing you can do about it other than hiring a webmaster, which you know what hiring a webmaster costs. And then even if you have the money, even if you're willing to spend the money, how do I find the guy that I'm willing to trust with the keys to my car? That's my baby, something I've spent months, hours, many long days building this thing. So, how do I do that? And for the longest time, my solution was, I'm just going to roll with it. I'm just going to promote my butt off, use the site as it is to sell what I can. And I did pretty good with the site. I mean, I was still able to sell some very nice pieces of equipment. None of it new, but some of it very expensive, because I didn't, focus on the fact that the website was junk. I focused on using the website to get people the opportunity to see the equipment, promoting the equipment, and getting people together so sales could happen. But finally, a couple years, on my 5th anniversary, actually, I met a guy named Ashley Fox, who's a SEO, search engine optimization expert. He's also a website guy. We met online. He realized that I was not happy with my website. He said, Max, I want to help you out. And we got to talking. I've decided I liked him. I trusted him. He basically moved my website from hand-coded HTML to WordPress, which meant going from me having to write every line of code to basically just using a text editor and, the WordPress dashboard to add the links and the images and stuff. Oh my God, so much easier. He imported all my pages of text links so that I didn't have to do that and create the directory of links to the different companies in the amusement industry. And he changed it from yellow, blue, red, orange to white and black with a little accent. I mean, he made it so much better. And, I still was doing the same work, but now I had a much more professional website. And it was all because I had been asking. I didn't ask him directly. I'd been asking by putting it out in the world that I needed to do better with my website. But when he came along and offered to help me, I was willing to accept his help at that point, and it made things so much better for me. But I tell you, I always, even though I didn't let it bother me, it did bother me that this was the best I could do on my own. And part of that was just the technology, because in the early days you had two choices. You could either hand code or you could use WYSIWYG, which stands for what you see is what you get. And obviously WYSIWYG doesn't work for a guy who has no ability to see the screen.
What one thing in your business are you currently struggling to overcome?
I think, like a lot of people, I'm still trying to overcome the reluctance to hire other people to do things. I'm great with asking people. I stink at hiring people. I still have issues with lack versus abundance, and not wanting to hire somebody if the money isn't already here versus the approach of hiring them knowing the money is going to come in. And those are hard things to get through, because I've always been the responsible one. I'm used to. For a long time I was in a business where you were dependent on the weather and the whims of crowds, and so if you had a good week, you had to put back a fair amount of that money, because you never knew what the next week was going to bring. As it doesn't make it easy for you to part with money, to invest money, to hire other people and pay them cash, or agree to have to send out money every month. And that's one of the things that is still really hard for me. I have to think about it before I agree to hire somebody. And I'm not talking about whether or not they're valuable, whether or not I think they can perform the job. Even if I think they're perfect for the job, I'm still going to have trouble deciding to sign that contract or agree to pay them. And the sad thing about that is, when I went to New York City, the reason that trip worked out so well was because I expected the money to show up, because I decided, hey, somehow this is going to work out. And sure enough, in the course of about 3 weeks, I had a sale come through that hadn't happened in 3 years of trying. I had a woman who donated money to a crowdfunding campaign that I'd had up for over a month. I had a new client show up for my online media services. So saying it, believing it, and then doing it are all three very different things. I believe it. I believe that as long as I believe that the money is going to come in. I really do believe that. But some days, even if you believe it, it's still hard to act on it.
What do you feel is your one biggest business triumph to date?
Okay, I'm going to split it into the two things I'm in. For the Midway Marketplace, I think it's just still being here. To be doing what I've been doing for 11 years, to be considered an expert in the industry, to be the guy who I've been told on more than one occasion that I'm the guy they would like to do business with, although sometimes my inability to finance equipment and provide transportation and installation just makes them have to choose somebody else. But, to me, that's successful, because I'm 10 and a half years in, and a lot of people don't make it a year or 5 years, even in online business. So that's for the Midway Marketplace. For me as the blind blogger, I think it's always your latest thing. So to me, I am really proud of this latest book. I mean, it's a year and a half of work. It chronicles my trip to New York City by myself. It talks about how I competed for and won the Amtrak Rider in Residence that took me there. There's a lot of great life lessons in this book. There's a lot of great pictures in the book, which shows what happens. I basically would just hand my camera to whoever was nearby and ask them to take pictures, and came back with over 200 photos. And after we eliminated the blurry ones, got rid of the duplicates, we ended up with 60 really good photos, including the one that's on the cover of the book, which I just recently found out this. I didn't know this, but apparently the picture on the front of my book cover makes it look like I'm wearing a cape, like I'm a superhero.
Yes, it does. It has a vibe of like an Alfred Hitchcock type of thriller, like late night thriller.
I'll be darned. I wouldn't have known that. But somebody yesterday, I was working with somebody on recording a video for a competition to receive a grant. And the woman who looked at the video said, "Yeah, Max, you need to do something superhero, because it looks like you're wearing a cape." And I'm like, I didn't know that. It took me a while to finally figure out. She's talking about that heavy coat I was wearing while I was in New York City. Okay, so... And, Ryan Badolf, who's one of the top bloggers, he's known as the blogger from Paradise. I met him in New York City, and he's been calling me the Daredevil of the blogging world. So maybe I ought to use that in the video. That's an idea. I need a hook for this video, for this competition. That might be what I need to go with.
That'd be interesting. Very interesting.
But yeah, my biggest triumph is the new book, and it has only been out a month or so. Everybody who has read it said there's been something in it that has inspired them, and I feel really good about the book. It's some of the best writing I've ever done. It feels like a real, honest-to-goodness professional book that would be right at home next to anybody else in the personal development genre.
What do you feel is your one biggest personal triumph to date?
Personal triumph? I don't know. I think that the fact that, I spent 2.5 weeks in New York by myself as a blind guy is a pretty good personal thing. But I'm not married. I'm still looking for somebody who's crazy enough to put up with me and somebody who wants to travel. My next goal, who knows, maybe my next project, who knows, maybe that will be my biggest personal achievement. I don't know. I'm in the middle of starting what we're calling the Max Ivey Round the World Challenge. It's going to start with me going to England in December. So, and I don't know about you, but I have a hard time really thinking of myself and thinking about, okay, what would I say is the most important thing I've ever done personally? I mean, most people will point to their marriage or their children or their grandchildren, and I just don't have those. But I'm very close to my family, my mom, my brother, my nephew Seth, and I don't know, maybe just being the person I am after 50 years and growing to being the kind of person who can have an open conversation like this with somebody and with however many thousands or millions are listening to him. I think maybe that's a pretty big accomplishment.
Hang tight, successors. We'll return to our conversation with Maxwell Ivey, as well as quick success after a word from our sponsors. Are you a tense, tired, busy person who works day in and day out, who tends to lack the proper sleep and energy? Using modular supplements, health-related articles, recipes, life hacks, and more, Bellison can help. With quality as high as Bellison, you're buying from a company that cares about the environment and only uses premium vegan supplements. That's Bellison.com. Want to learn how to cook healthy, exercise, and meditate in just 30 minutes a day? Bellison.com. Want to feel healthy, energetic, and focused like me? Bellison.com. To receive a 10% discount at checkout. Whoa, hold on. Now receive even more health benefits with a 20% discount at checkout. Go to Bellison.com with the coupon code the4POS to get your 20% off now. Visit Bellison.com. That's Belisan.com. Compassion and quality without compromise. Bellison.com. Are you tired of trying every new diet fad? Sick of the pills, shakes, and vibrating belts? Are you just sick and tired of being sick and tired? Linda Lavender knows exactly how you feel. That's why she created Eat to Live to Love. Eat to Live to Love is a personalized mentoring program 100% unique to you. With 24/7 support, learn to shop smart, save money, eat clean, and find your purpose using the tools and resources you need to achieve real weight loss and transformative healing without ever having to buy another gimmicky fat-sucking wrap or magic protein shake. Eat to Live to Love has been the driving force behind people across the United States to not only change their lives, but to actually take back control. Find out how health coach Linda Lavender can help you become your own hero and transform your life at eattolivetolove.com or call 1-888-440-9795 for a free initial consultation. Stop just dreaming about success and make it happen with Eat to Live to Love. Visit eattolivetolove.com now. That's eat, the number 2, live, the number 2, love.com. Eat to Live to Love. Healing, weight loss, and fitness. And we're back with author, business owner, and blogger Maxwell Ivey. Now we get into the part of the show I like to call Quick Success, where you, Maxwell, can inspire the successors to enhance their lives in the areas of knowledge, health, wealth, and spirituality. Maxwell, what are you currently doing to enhance your knowledge?
Just this week, I signed up for a course from a coach I love named Mark Mawhinney, who is hopefully going to teach me how to attract more clients to myself as an online media rep.
What are you currently doing to enhance your health?
I ride a stationary bike for at least 30 minutes every day, and while I'm riding the bike, I listen to audiobooks. But I should mention to people, they're not always personal development books, because some days your mind needs distraction and diversion and just a good story better than it needs a self-help book. Just like I say, some days, while you have to limit the amount, some days your body wants a cookie instead of granola, or you know how it is.
Great analogy. What are you currently doing to enhance your wealth?
I am continuing to expand my list of clients, people that I get booked on radio shows and podcasts, and I'm also doing the same for myself. And I have even booked my first book signing for the new book that's going to be here in Houston, which is for the first time I've actually done an event in person to promote any of my work here in my hometown, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. But yeah, I'm going to be at the book scene on March 24th from 1 to 3 o'clock.
What are you currently doing to enhance your spirituality?
I think the best thing I do there is I take time every day to meditate and think. Now, for me, meditation, I've coined a phrase I call modern meditation, which basically means you use repetitive daily routine activities to focus in on your thoughts, your breathing, and to basically block out everything else but this mindless task. For me, it started when I've since lost my mindfulness coach, Miss Penny, the Wonder Dog, but she used to come along and remind me, hey, Max, you need to put the laptop down and pet me. And at first I got mad at it, but then I was like, Max, just smell the fur. Just scratch the dog's back for 15 minutes and think about whatever it is you would think about if you weren't so busy. And, for some people it's caring for a pet. Some people it's laundry, housework. Some people it's working on an assembly line, but everybody has those tasks they do every day that are mindless, boring, routine. And instead of getting mad about them, why not use them?
Are there any modern technologies or apps that you use to help you achieve success?
Well, I'm very happy with iPhone and iPad. I'm finding out that more and more of the apps, especially the what they call accessible versions of them, are much more easy to use on the iOS devices than on my laptop. If I were to pick one particular app, I would say that I'm really enjoying the Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter on my iOS device, because I can really limit the amount of time that I spend on those social media sites. And I don't know about you, but even me, and I'm pretty disciplined when it comes to social media, it's just way too easy to get trapped down that rabbit hole if you're on their actual website. And so I like to use the apps along with the push notifications so that I only visit the site or visit the app when somebody has done something that I know I absolutely have to respond to right then.
What new thing, book, activity, technology, or skill are you really excited to learn and dive into?
What new thing, activity, or skill? You know, I don't really know what that new thing would be. I know the other day when I was talking to my partner in crime, Ann Slater-Brooks, about this Round the World Challenge, one of the things she suggested is zip lining, and she's sent me a link to a place she wants me to go while I'm over there. So I think just continually being open to new opportunities and challenges, no matter how big or how small or how uncomfortable they may make you. Because I'm quite frankly not thrilled about this particular suggestion, but I can't think of a reason not to do it.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that for a while. Eventually, I'm going to have to do it too. Sounds fun to me.
Yeah, and the bad thing is I told her, she said something, I said, but look, I'm not an adrenaline junkie. You're not going to see me whitewater rafting or jumping out of planes. She said, that's sad. I've already jumped out of a plane. I said, well, great, because that means if I ever do it, you're going to have to go with me to one of those places where to do the tandem jumps.
Yeah.
And she's like, sure. She's like, sure, when you want to go. I'm like, you're not helping. Yeah. By the way, I don't know if you've ever heard of, there was a comedian who used to do a joke about blind guys and skydiving. He said, yeah, he said the blind guy was cool, but man, that dog screamed a lot.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I can tell that joke. I didn't tell it well, but I can tell it. But yeah, so that's just, you know, and one thing that now that I think about it, that I am really trying to remember to do, because people do seem to enjoy it, and it's a thing where I constantly am, you know, stepping out and showing people that I'm doing something that scares me, is I'm asking more people to sing. And I've told these people that I'm going to be visiting with in the UK, we got to figure out some places where I can do it in public, because that's one of the things I didn't get to do in New York that I wanted to do while I was there.
And Successors, Maxwell has a special offer for you. Maxwell, what is that?
Okay, I have an online course where I teach people how to use podcasts and radio show interviews, other online media like this, to share your story, reach a wider audience, and build your platform or your brand out there. I honestly believe that having these conversations with good friends like Antonio while other people are listening is the most fun, positive, empowering way to promote yourself, to get yourself out there. And face it, this is one of the few things you can do online where people can get to know you. This is personal. This is intimate. This is one-on-one, two guys discussing things that you guys out there are interested in. And you don't get any other opportunities like this online. So I created a course to teach people how to do it themselves. The course sells for $97 on Thinkific or other places. But if you go to my website, theblindblogger.net, and you go to /rockstar, you can download the course for free. There is an email sign up, but hey, take the course. If when you're through, you're like, just unsubscribe from the mailing list. At the worst, you'll get an inspirational, motivational email from me once a week. At best, you'll get a great online course with over 3 hours of audio that teaches you everything from why you want to do this to where you find the shows, how you pitch the shows, and how to build a good media kit, past appearances page, and basic pitch email template so you can do it right.
Man, that sounds good. You heard it here. Download Maxwell's free $97 course to teach you how to promote yourself and your business through conversations and interviews. Just go to theblindblogger.net /rockstar. Maxwell, how can our listeners connect with you?
Right. Well, first off, theblindblogger.net. theblindblogger.net, and I'm always happy to meet and connect with people, so just hit the contact form and say hello. I'm also on Twitter at Maxwell Ivey, YouTube /Maxwell Ivey, and pretty much, Facebook.com /theblindblogger. But if you want to reach out to me, the best place is at the website, theblindblogger.net. And I really mean it when I tell people they should just get a hold of me. That's why my email address is justask@theblindblogger.net.
Finally, Maxwell, what's your definition of success?
My definition of success is I just keep showing up. I mean, I never really know what I'm going to do when I get out of bed. I don't know what the next challenge or opportunity is going to be. I don't know what the next good thing or bad thing is going to be. But I know that I just keep showing up. Every day, I give people the best that I have today. At the end of the day, I tell myself, Max, you did your best. That's all you can do. And if you do your best throughout the day, at the end of the day, you can be kind enough to yourself to say, okay, we'll just do this better tomorrow, or we'll do more tomorrow, or we'll find something we did today that we won't ever do again tomorrow. But to me, that's success, because I like to say, never put limits on God. And to me, if at the end of the day I've helped one person, that was success. If I've learned one new thing, that was success. If I found something that I no longer have to do, or that by not doing it makes me feel freer and gives me more entertainment and enjoyment from the things I am doing, that was success. And I really think that a lot of people get trapped because to them success is the big moment. It's the champagne. It's the big party that there's thousands of people at. And a lot of times success is something very small to everybody else, but something that's important to you if you take the time to notice it, pay attention to it, and celebrate it.
Successors, I hope you've enjoyed my conversation with Maxwell Ivey. Please check out more successful free content like this at the4pos.com, as well as rate, review, and subscribe wherever you find podcasts. Thanks for listening, and prepare for success. If you want to do more, earn more, be more, and stay more motivated, visit Amazon.com right now for a copy of Indulge Your Affirmative Motivation Within, 25 Motivations of Personal Development and Life Success. Get it now at Amazon.com.